welcome to Omally Live on the second day of October 2019. I want to thank everybody for joining, whether you're watching live or in post. The number to contact the show is 330-809-1924, or you can email us at o'malleysadventure@yahoo.com. Today we have on the show Jill Kramer. She is the Ward 4 City Councilwoman for the City of Massillon, and we are going to talk a little bit about her and her run for council again this year. How you doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Could you pull that just a little bit that way?
This way?
Yep, a little more. There we go. Perfect. So why don't we start off, tell us a little bit about yourself. Growing up, did you grow up here in Massillon?
No, I did not. So I'm Jill Kramer.
Okay.
I am running for my third term for Ward 4 Council.
Okay.
And I grew up in Vienna, Ohio.
Okay.
So that's near the Youngstown, Warren area.
Okay.
So my family, my parents still live there.
Okay.
I'm one out of 8 children.
Holy cats.
Yes, exactly. A good Catholic family.
Right.
My dad was a steel mill worker.
Right.
Was raised on a farm.
So, when did you move to Massillon?
We moved to Massillon in 1996 when my husband was offered a coaching position at Massillon Washington High School.
Oh, wow. He was a coach. Is he still a coach?
He's still a coach. He's the basketball coach currently at Canton Central Catholic.
Oh, wow.
You didn't know that, did you?
No, I did not know that.
Ooh, okay.
I'm learning as we go. So how long have you lived in Massillon total, from then till now?
23 years.
Okay.
23 great years.
A little bit about your education and occupation. What do you do for a living?
Well, I graduated from Youngstown State University
Okay.
with a BS in biology and chemistry.
Okay.
And from there, I did a clinical internship in medical technology. So I'm board certified as a medical technologist. In the days, that's what we were called, medical technologist, but the title has changed. So I'm a medical laboratory scientist.
So, and that's what you do currently?
I'm a lab manager,
Lab manager?
at Summa Health
So
up north.
up north. So, so when I have stuff sent away, you guys are the ones that figure out what it is.
Yes. So, we perform the testing.
Right.
For those tests that the clinician requests.
Gotcha. So what got you into politics?
That is the $1,000,000 question.
I was going to say, everybody.
What the heck are you doing in city council? Years back,
Okay.
the current administration was pursuing an aquarium/indoor water park.
Yeah.
In a parcel of land,
Sure.
the Legends Golf Course.
Right.
So that started the ball rolling because, as a concerned citizen, for myself, my neighborhood,
Right.
and for the southeast side of Massillon,
Right.
there was a lot of unknowns. There was
Gotcha.
a lot of questions regarding this company,
Right.
their vision.
Right.
And I just, felt that I needed to speak out regarding being a concerned citizen,
Right.
regarding what was going on in that area. And the city of Massillon,
Right.
For the entire city.
So it sort of snowballed from there.
It snowballed from there, and here I sit,
So-
running for my third term.
So what was the tipping point? What actually made you say, okay, I'm going to do it?
There was a lot of concerned citizens at that time. Questions regarding financing, how they were going to deliver the project. Was the project going to be delivered? And I just didn't get a good sense
Right.
that we had all the pieces and parts needed to make a good decision
Right.
at that point. And I thought, you know what? I need to get involved. I need to be sitting around the table and asking those questions and ensuring those answers, that we got the answers that we wanted to hear.
Sure.
Just not an answer,
But the right ones.
the right answer
Right.
for the city of Massillon.
So, speaking of funding and things generating revenue, I'm going to rearrange that a little bit. So as
Okay.
far as bringing businesses into Maslin, um, what is something that you look for personally, um, as far as bringing in new business?
And that's the challenge,
Right,
bringing in new business because we, we want to keep strengthening our community,
right,
good schools, good infrastructure, and bringing in new business is only going to strengthen us more.
right,
So a business that is going to be valuable to the city and our surrounding communities,
right.
is in my opinion.
I was going to say one of the things that I usually, when people ask me, why isn't it happening? Because if you look at where we land as far as 21, 30, we have a rail system that runs through Maslin. It's hard to say why not.
Correct.
And I think a good example of that's the what's the place down at the old Republic site? The gosh, it's escaping me. You know where I'm talking about? They're
Yes.
off Finney Frock
Yes.
across the bridge.
Exactly.
They're making good use. I think the Petros owns it.
Yes. Correct. Storing the
Yeah,
pipes.
right. I think things like that are maybe the next move into. I think there's still a place for manufacturing, but I think as things become more high tech, I think thinking outside the box as far as new business goes, and they definitely done it. I mean, they took something that was, I mean, kind of an eyesore, and they turned it into a mint. So,
Exactly. So good businesses, I mean, good paying jobs.
right,
Good paying. Manufacturing is great, but
right,
let's mix it up a little bit. Let's bring a little bit of, different
right.
types of jobs into the city.
More, I think maybe leaning more to the tech side.
That's the way of the future.
Sure. Well, something as simple as this now. I mean, it used to be what 20 years ago, radio was kind of the king, and now that radio's gone away, a guy on a laptop can sort of move things in the right direction.
Right, right.
So, um, let's talk a little bit about the lighting, stormwater, street taxes.
Oh, you
I
got
was
some good things there, huh?
right. Well, my thing is, I understand why we have them. I work for the street department, but would there be a way to consolidate that to say we're going to charge the people this because the tax credit changed, and that caused a sort of a rift, little to do. And I understand people don't want that money to go away. I get that. But I also understand that if you tax people too much, then it stifles growth. So is there a way that you see where you could combine instead of having separate fees, or is it something that you think should be left separate?
At this point, I would say let's keep this separate
Okay.
because right now the citizens voted on the street and the park tax.
Right.
Okay. The street lighting fee was implemented when we were in fiscal emergency.
Right.
And I think that raises maybe a little over $325,000.
Okay.
So, with the concern with the tax credit,
Yes.
that's kind of where I'm at too. Let's see where this takes us.
Sure.
We have a lot of streets and a lot of catch basins.
Yeah, that's a big.
We have 174 miles of streets in our
Right.
city and close to 5,000 catch basins.
Right.
Yes, we're removing approximately about $350,000 is the number that was thrown at us.
Right.
That street lighting fee is $325, and
Right.
it's all residents and all businesses.
Right.
So I want to take this slowly.
Right.
We don't know what the future is going to bring us.
Sure.
So I'm not saying I'm opposed to it,
Right.
but I think let's take one step at a time first.
Sure. The let's talk about the hospital a little bit
Oh,
because
okay.
you do have some medical.
Yes.
Obviously, the hospital was sort of a rough spot. There's no. It's funny. My mom was up there the day that they announced that they were closing, and at first I thought, okay, somebody's joking around, and no, they ain't joking around. So,
No.
But that being said, then we went through the process with, and then we were close with Paramount. I think that Paramount
It was
Major.
Paramount.
Yeah.
You could say we were. I guess you could say we were close with it, but
Right. But looking at hindsight, were there any of those offers that you would have said maybe we should have looked at that one instead?
with the proposals that were presented in front of me,
Yeah.
no. I mean, Paramount, I was questioning that just because being in the healthcare business, their expectations on when they wanted to have things closed, those delivery dates,
Right.
that's just not obtainable. In my mind,
More pie in the sky.
yes. In my opinion,
Right.
in my opinion, I know how long it takes to do certain
Right.
things. It's it's a long shot.
Right.
It was a really long
So,
shot.
so who had the most reasonable as far as the timeline goes, as far as what they could do?
You know, off the top of my head, I can't give you specifics.
Yeah.
I really can't give you specifics. But I know this community has had a hospital
Right.
for many, many years.
Right.
Over many name changes.
Right.
And it was something that the community looked for.
Right.
And it was such a sad day
Mm-hmm.
when they stated to the employees that they were closing the doors.
Sure.
And it was another sad day when we got the proposals that we got,
Right.
because it was just, we didn't have many choices.
Right. I
We
get
didn't
that.
have many choices.
Right.
And it's difficult for an independent hospital to stay independent nowadays
Right.
with healthcare costs,
Right. It's
with labor,
it's pretty pricey.
wages,
Right.
supplies. It is very hard for an independent hospital to stay. And you can see it all over the country.
Right.
These larger systems
Right.
are starting to
Well,
connect.
Right. Well, I believe it was last week. Mercy
Correct.
is looking at being part of the Cleveland Clinic system.
Correct.
So
And I'm sure it wasn't a shock to many people,
right.
in the healthcare leadership, positions, because it's difficult. It is very difficult. And they were with the they're the Sisters of Charity.
Right.
So they were, teamed up with, I think, one other hospital, and then the system.
Right.
But yeah, it's difficult. Difficult.
So looking ahead, do you see a full-fledged hospital coming back, or do you see sort of the new boutique style hospitals, healthcare systems?
I think it's going to depend on the community.
Okay.
It's going to be up to the community to use that new Altman West facility.
Okay.
And as they stated when they were presenting their proposal, we were asking, additional questions regarding, observation units, a number of beds, and an
Right.
inpatient. And they're taking it step by step too, because financially, they're, I think, putting like $8 million into that expansion.
Right.
So I think the safe bet,
Mm-hmm.
let's hope the community gets behind them and uses that facility.
Right.
And then over time, possibly it may expand to do additional services other than the emergency room, the lab, the radiology.
Right.
Who knows if they'll bring surgery back? At one point, they had surgeries there.
Right. I was
It's
going to say,
stepping stone.
I believe I had one there.
Yeah, it's a stepping stone.
Right.
Any smart business person would know that you're not going to jump in the deep end.
Right.
Nowadays. So if they just slowly move through it, I'm hoping something will evolve.
Right.
But it's up to the community.
Sure. Let's talk a little bit about the downtown infrastructure. That's a big. Sometimes when I read on like Facebook and some of those,
You do that?
I unfortunately
Oh, I try to stay
I,
away from that.
well, I try to focus more on local topics, and um, sometimes I read things. I'm like, my goodness, you guys have come out of your tree. But um, I think obviously downtown Maslin was aging. I mean, the
Yes.
infrastructure. I mean, they were finding parts of the old drawbridge,
Yep.
which was kind of cool. I got pictures of that. Um, but it did need some upgrading. I know there's a lot of people. Some want it more scaled back. Some want it more scaled forward. At the end of the day, it's coming. It,
We
it's
have to.
it's going to happen. Um, the days of protesting that were months ago. So that's
And that was talked about years ago because when this came up, even prior to me being on council, I think it was Ward 2, Nancy Halter said, you know what? This has been brought up numerous times previously,
right,
and nothing came to fruition.
right,
So it has now. It
right.
has, but we have to progress.
So something that people ask me about is the business owners downtown and the buildings, because at ground level, a lot of them are occupied, but the tops maybe in some need of help. Is there any way to maybe put something in place to rehab some of the older buildings? See, because me personally, I like some of the older architecture. I'm not. I don't want to just jump in and start tearing things down. I mean, some of those buildings should be saved just for historical reasons. Um, but putting something in place, maybe an incentive to the business owners, say, hey, it's time to start cleaning stuff up.
There's a vision.
Right.
There's a vision. I know administration has a vision of doing something like that
Right.
to draw the young adults to our downtown area.
Right.
An incentive, that's something we can look at. I know this year, we had an ordinance regarding vacant properties.
Right.
And I know we did amend that ordinance to clean up a few things
Sure.
to try to get these property owners, maybe not the businesses, because sometimes the businesses do not own that building,
Right.
but get these property owners to start moving forward, because that's where we're at right now. We need to improve the downtown.
Right.
And if they're not willing
Right. Well,
to do it, I can't sit here and say that
somebody would step in and force them to.
that would be a little hard.
That-
That'd
I
be
was
a
gonna
little
say
hard. Yeah,
that-
I
that-
don't want to be there. I don't think that's
Right.
their property.
Right.
But hopefully, when phase one is complete and we can start seeing the change, seeing the improvements, let's start getting the ball rolling.
Right.
It's going to be a slow process.
Right.
It's not going to be something that happens overnight.
The next question would be maintaining it. And
Oh, you're just
my-
throwing these out, aren't
well,
you?
the only reason I ask about the maintaining side of it is because that's kind of my day gig.
Maintaining the streets.
The
And
downtown
infrastructure.
downtown, yes. I when I believe Joel Smith was the director. He sent around a questionnaire of things that would you want this or would you not want this? And one of the things that we said was to not have anything growing on the sides, like the trees. I mean, don't get me wrong, green's nice, but from a maintenance standpoint, when we're plowing and there's trees there, they rip everything off the side of the truck. Mirrors, strobe lights. We're like, if you're going to do something, use a shrub that doesn't get out of
Right.
control.
Right.
And to actually remove the bump outs, because we hit those with the plow, and that's hard. It's hard. Well, it's hard on equipment. It's hard on the curbs. Is there a chance, maybe, that there would be additional people added to the street department to help maintain some of these projects as far as the streets go?
That would have to be up to the street director.
Mm-hmm.
To determine, does he need additional resources
Right.
for these additional tasks?
Right.
I'm going to look at, well, what's the difference in man hours?
Right.
because if there's, a high percentage, then yes, we're going to have to do something because we do have to maintain that.
Right. One of the things that we looked at this past year is if you look at Maslin, Perry, and Jackson, they have between 175 and 200 miles of road to take care of in the wintertime, right? I believe Perry has 13 guys in their department. Jackson has 15. Maslin has 11. But the townships get help from the state and the county.
Okay.
And we don't. And that was one of our concerns. Look, moving forward, our department's getting a little anemic.
Mm-hmm.
We could need a couple people, a couple bodies. And that's why I asked that, because there is no doubt in my mind that downtown is going to look fantastic when it's done. I mean, it's going to be new,
Right.
obviously. Keeping it looking that way.
Right.
I hate to say I'm heavily vested, but I've been with the street department 23 years. I want to see those things better. When it's time for me to leave, I want it to be a little bit better than when I started.
Right.
So that's why I bring that up about the infrastructure downtown and taking care of it.
Well, we're going into budget season for 2020.
Right.
So should be a topic of discussion with administration
Sure.
regarding those resources.
Gotcha. So whose ear would I chew on to?
Well, I would go up the chain of command. So who do you report to, Josh?
Well, yeah. Well,
Always follow the chain of command
Right.
and voice those concerns and
Well-
lay out a plan. That's kind of, I'm going to put my other hat on,
Right.
Someone brings me a concern. Okay, what's the resolution? How can we
Right.
work towards a resolution?
Sure.
Just don't dump anything on me.
Right.
Let's work together and
Right.
let's see how we can resolve this. And, this need
Right.
regarding maintaining, keeping it beautiful after
Right.
it's complete should be a priority.
Yes.
Should be a priority.
Yes.
And how do we go about this?
Right.
What's it going to entail? Hourly, weekly, monthly, and present your case.
Right. So
You didn't
That-
want to hear that, did you? That's not the answer. You
no.
wanted to
I mean, I bring it up just so it's because I don't think that some people understand. I mean, it was 3 years ago. Our street department had 6 people in it.
Right.
I mean that was
We're
really
making
slim.
progress.
Yeah.
But
So
we were in fiscal emergency, right?
right.
So now.
And I think moving forward, especially with projects like that, maintaining them is a really good idea, because let something happen to it and people are going to cry foul.
Right.
That the Facebook keyboards will be on fire. So that's what I have. Let me know what you got there. You brought some stuff
Oh,
with you.
no.
What do you want to talk about?
No,
The floor is yours.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
You pick a
I just
topic.
want to say that you guys do a great job. With our street paving program, I want to thank the citizens for voting for that street tax.
Sure.
We are getting between 1.8 and 2.1 million dollars annually, and I'm hoping that the citizens see that we're showing evidence that
Right.
we're using those dollars
Right.
on the streets. We've had a lot of projects
Right.
the past 2 years, and this year, I think we're doing a great job with those dollars
Gotcha.
with the streets. So I want to just thank everybody, and I hope they have confidence in as council, to renew that tax.
Right.
That was a 5-year renewal tax
Right.
that went into effect 2017, and I
Right.
think it goes to 2021.
Right.
We're not going to have 174 miles of streets repaved
No, not in that.
in that 5 years.
Right.
We're not going to have 5,000 catch basins
Right.
replaced
Right.
in 5 years. It takes money and a lot of money.
Yes.
And, I get phone calls.
Right.
I get stopped. You're doing this street. Why aren't you doing my street?
Mm-hmm.
When this program was initiated, they went throughout the city and they rated all the streets.
Right.
And then council also had input on streets within their ward
Right.
that they thought should be on that list.
Right.
You know, we worked together, and I think it's going to take more time
Sure.
than 5 years, but I think it should be a priority.
Right. Well, it didn't take, it took longer than 5 years for things to kind of deteriorate. You can't just,
Correct.
you can't fix 15 or 20 years worth of
Right.
in 5 years.
Right.
It's not going to happen. That's fantasy land.
And we need those funds because, you know, previous years we were in fiscal emergency. The economy was struggling.
Right.
You know, it wasn't just Maslin City, it was the economy struggling.
Right.
And now that things are improving, we have the ability now with citizens voting for this renewal to keep improving our infrastructure in our city. We want to draw new business. We want our economic development, improve that, bring new business. We need to have infrastructure. We are on the crossroads of 21, Route 30. Like you stated, the railroads, we are an ideal location
Right.
for new businesses.
We should, it should, like I said, it should be a question of why not versus why.
Right.
You know?
Right. And that's kind of my push now. We need to do better.
Right.
We need to do better in that aspect.
So you got stuff there, and you pick something, and I'll ask a question on something you got the information for, and I'll be
no,
inquisitive.
I'm a scientist, so I bring things. If I'm going to a
Okay.
meeting, I was
Okay.
always told,
So
be
you're
prepared.
You're prepared.
be prepared, have evidence.
So let's unpackage something a little bit. They were talking about the next phase of downtown.
Going up to 4th Street,
Yes.
I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what kind of time frame are they looking at on that?
Gosh, I can't recall off the top of my head a time frame. I don't have notes for that. I know
Well,
it was addressed
right.
a couple weeks back
Right.
with that proposal.
Because
I don't
I'm hoping, and again, this is just maybe overthinking from somebody that's on the inside, that maybe dipping into some of the municipal parking lots. I don't know if you've been in a couple of them. They are sort of maybe needing some attention. If you could make, because if they're going, let's see, Lincoln Way is east and west. North of Lincoln Way, you've got the one behind Bender's, and then there's one just up from Tremont Coffee by the
Yes.
old post office. Maybe incorporating those as far as maybe redoing them. I mean, I don't want to say that they look bad, but they are hard to maintain. Anytime you have raised concrete that you have to clean around, that's time consuming versus something that's more level, more flat. I don't know, that's just something I was thinking about, because when I come in early, sometimes I come in early on Friday to sweep downtown, and I do the parking lots. That's a time chewer, making sure that you get in, and then there's a couple alleys that run next to them, kind of maybe refiguring that out a little bit. I don't know if that's something that could be done, maybe simplifying it.
I just know with the phases
Right.
for the streetscape, the Downtown Imagine project, I think we need to move slow.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get this first phase done.
Okay.
And this is my opinion.
Okay.
And let's look at our funding. Let's look, like you're concerned with maintaining.
Right.
You know, are we able to do all those things
Right.
before we jump into the next? You know, I'm a planner,
Right.
and I like to move slow. I like to think about things,
Right.
roll the numbers around, say, okay, is this a good thing? Is this a
Right.
not thing? And then move slowly. And you know, a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people like to move quickly, but this is something we haven't done.
I don't know. I think in government, healthy skepticism is good. I don't think just jumping on things like that's maybe the best way. I think you can get yourself in a really, well, like what almost happened with that water park. I mean, that could have went sideways quick, and fortunately, um, that didn't go through. I wasn't a big fan of that project. I think I don't know. That area. I've got my own thoughts, but South Erie, that's come up at the meeting a couple times.
Oh, my ward. Your
Yes.
street, South Erie.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Yes.
what's going on with South Erie?
So South Erie Street, part of South Erie Street, I believe, near, is it the Oakwood Cemetery
Yeah.
to Route 21 Bridge,
Right.
was on the 2018 roads to be repaved.
Okay.
And something happened. We never got around to it.
Right.
So it was communicated to me that it will be on 2019, Jill. We will get this done.
Right.
Because I was very adamant, it's terrible. We have a lot of people coming from all over
Right.
going to the marketplace.
Sure.
That road is terrible.
Right.
That road is terrible.
Yeah.
And it's, that's something, we have the marketplace TIF. I kind of fight for my TIFs in my ward.
Sure.
Because I feel that, not that I don't want to use that money somewhere else in the city, but if there's no need for it
Right.
in that vicinity, then okay, we'll pass it to the next one. But there is a need for that. So it was supposed to be done this year. When I asked the update timeline, I was told that they didn't have anybody that bid on it. But when I made a few more phone calls, I did talk to the engineer Jason, and he stated that, Jill, it is falls under the municipal road fund,
Okay.
and they just got just got the money approved
Right.
late in the year, and when they put it out, they only had one bid. By that time, at the end of the year,
Right.
these companies have, everything scheduled,
Right.
what's needed. So he said, Jill, it's going to go out. Hopefully, the bid will go out again late this year to start in the spring.
Right. Because we're running out of good weather to pave.
Correct.
And it's going to happen quick.
Correct. So I'll keep asking.
So,
If I'm sitting in my chair, I will keep asking regarding Erie Street.
gotcha.
So I'm kind of, I don't give up. If
And it's going to entail that brick section.
it's not going to entail that brick section,
Just past it.
past the brick section.
Going around the bend there by
Correct.
BFI or Republic or whatever it's called.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, the brick is going to be left alone.
Gotcha.
So the street department will still have to maintain that brick area.
Our lovely bricks. That's another thing that maybe we could kind of slide into one of those meetings is historic 4th Street, Oak, and that brick section. If they could kind of find somebody that does that kind of work,
And
I'm
help
not saying
replace.
I'm not saying re-brick the whole city, but certain areas like up in the historic area, it does look nice. The only thing is, if you go up on historic 4th Street with a plow on your truck, and
Yeah,
you're
those
gonna
bricks.
you're gonna lose
not level.
parts of your liver and kidneys
Right.
with all the bouncing around you.
Right. Agree.
So
Agree. I do. I agree.
so, but anyway, we got the candidates meeting tomorrow evening
Lions.
at the Lions Lincoln Theater.
Theater,
Are you going to be
correct.
attending that?
I will be there, 7 p.m.
7 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Did they happen to give you a format?
I did not. I did not.
Because I finally got a hold of the director today. She said I can go up in the balcony and film.
Oh, great.
So I talked to one person. They said I could film from my seat because they didn't want tripods and cables everywhere. And I was like, well, why can't I go up in the balcony? They're like, well, you're going to have to talk to the director about that. So went through the process, and I'm going to get to be there.
Right. I know Ward 4 is having a Meet the Candidate night, which
What day is that?
next Tuesday, October 8th,
Okay.
from 6 to 8 at the Lily and Bean Center,
Okay.
which is on 16th Street Southeast.
Yes.
So this is an event, an informative event too. This was kind of planned, and then I got the invite for the Lions Lincoln Theater. But it's going to be those candidates that Ward 4 residents will be voting for.
Okay.
So it will not be the same candidates that will be at the Lion Lincoln Theater
Okay.
tomorrow.
So who all's going to attend the one on the 8th?
On the 8th will be the mayoral candidates,
Okay.
council president
Okay.
candidates, Ward 4 candidates, and council at large candidates.
How do you get an invite to that? Wait, you know what? I can't. Did you say the 8th, Tuesday?
The 8th,
Nuts.
next Tuesday from 6 to 8.
Hmm.
I can send you one. I have the invite.
I believe I have somebody that's going to be on here at 7 o'clock. Anyway, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
Okay.
But do you have anything else that you want to tell people about? Anything new going on in Ward 4?
In Ward 4, I do not believe so. I just, I think we've accomplished a lot this year as city council and with administration regarding, the Richville project.
Right.
That was
That was a big one.
That was a big one, and I keep getting a lot of feedback, positive feedback from citizens that live throughout the city. So that was
Right.
something good because Richville, it was dangerous. I thought it was kind of dangerous.
One of the worst episodes I had in the street department come on Richville Drive. It was 2 years ago. We were doing just a stretch of it with the paver. And I was up on top of the hill with a flag there at the corner where it bends around.
The bend.
And I looked, and the sign said stop, and I see this lady coming in a van, right? And I'm looking, and I'm like, she don't see me. So I kind of moved a little bit and flipped the paddle a little bit. And I was like, okay, she's not going to stop. She sees me at the last second. She hits her brakes. A car rear ends her and shoves her right towards me, right?
My gosh.
My favorite uncle said there's two types of people in the world, the quick and the dead, and I'm still here. And no, that so when we don't have to work out there anymore, and they actually put in curbs that keeps you in bounds in the wintertime.
Yes, exactly.
So,
exactly.
And it turned out fantastic.
It did. They widened it. It just looks great. It's an entirely different,
Yes.
streets.
And it's much nicer on your vehicles too.
So that was like something, accomplishment. The fire station 3.
Yes.
That was a big accomplishment, getting that
Right.
reopened. That was the heaviest populated area in the city. I don't know if people know that.
Right.
But that was just another situation, a safety concern.
Right.
Getting that reopened as soon as possible. So we were able to do that. So
Right.
that's something that I think,
I think it's better. And real quick before I forget, the transport money. Jason's brought it up. How they get 10% of the money that they generate from transport?
Yes.
This is my opinion. Kind of nudge it a little bit towards that 20 mark.
Increase that.
Yeah. But again, that's my opinion. I don't know their finances or whatnot. But I think if he's doing that well and generating that kind of money, I would.
And I think councils, items that the chief has brought to us,
Yeah.
We've been in favor of it.
Sure.
So I think, we're going to improve whatever we need to prove, if it's resources or if it's vehicles, whatever's needed
Right.
for the safety of our citizens to
Sure.
help transport that patient
Right.
from point A to point B. And whatever we can provide, whatever type of services to give them a positive outcome,
Right.
we need to do that. And I think the chief is doing a great job.
Do you have anything else? Do you have anything you want to discuss? The floor is yours.
No, I was leaving it up to you,
Yeah.
Josh.
We've been on 40 minutes.
Okay,
That's
I'm good. I
if
just
you
want to,
don't-
I just feel that, I'm here to serve the people.
Right?
Ward 4, and I try to do my best
Yes.
to gather all the facts, all the evidence, and, form a good decision based on what I have in front of me.
Gotcha.
At times, I may seem a little stubborn, aggressive, but I'm looking for definitive answers.
Right.
And, being a scientist, if I don't get definitive answers, I'm kind of getting in that gray area that I get a little anxious
Right. Right.
because I want to be sure that we are being fiscally responsible. We
Right.
are, I want to be proud of the job that I'm doing and representing all of my constituents and ensure that I'm doing my job.
Gotcha.
So I just want to thank everyone.
Well, if you don't have anything else, I want to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for
If you
inviting me.
if you have anything that you want to do as far as your ward goes, contact me anytime. We can set it up. And you can put the information out there. And for the people watching, I couldn't do Facebook. I generally try to when I do something like this. But the comments, that little blue screen right there, if people comment on Facebook, it does not come through. For some reason, I can't get that to work yet. So we're on YouTube. We're on Twitch. So if you want to watch the rerun, that's where it'll be at. You can share this video with all your friends, and if
Great.
people have questions, that's where they can
Great.
find it. So if you don't have anything else, we're signing off.
Great. Thank you.
Gotcha. Until next time, stay sharp, keep a tight shot, group, and rock on.